Now, I don't do this to hurt. I do this to educate. No, that's a complete lie. I do this for jokes. Kevin Owens sucks. I do this for complete, utter honesty over my gripe that I have with professional wrestling. That I don't even care how other people perceive my opinion. Because it's coming over sheer honesty. Kevin Owens sucks. Over just the standpoint of that he'll never draw. He never comes up in better shape, even if he takes months off, a double ACL tear, God forbid. No, yeah, he has a smidge of mic skills, but this is what he is: top Ring of Honor wrestler. He's not Hall of Fame level WWE wrestler. Like Kevin Owens is already like what a fucking Grand Slam. He's won nearly every title except the WWE Championship, and he has been given so many chances to push over a lot of the card than absolutely necessary. Because before the brand split even occurred, he only won the IC title a couple times in feud with Dean Ambrose. And then when it was a brand split, he somehow was still feuding with Dean Ambrose for the IC title. Oh, but everybody keeps forgetting the 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 Jericho list, the list of Jericho. You know who was the prime caretaker of that thing that got over? Chris Jericho. Kevin Owens was just the foil to partake the jokes of the segment. Kevin Owens, you forgot, was even world champion when he kept having hot potatoing retarded feuds of Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns and not getting over itself because he always looked weak as a chicken shit hill comparison. And the guy never even had any muscle mass or a height to even show any specific way that he could ever win a fight. And most of his uninspiring moveset. I mean, yes, it's supposed to be a semblance of impressiveness whenever a big, like, a heavyset dude that looks regular always does physically impressive moves, but not everybody does that. And by the way, the heavyset wrestlers who've done it before actually get a pop when that happens. Rhino does it. Mick Foley does it. Freaking many other big dudes do sentons and and frog splashes. So it just comes around not looking that special whenever somebody like Kevin Owens does it. Ripping off the stunner and his crappy pop-up powerbomb. And his freaking theme song sounding like a rapid air fart. Like, it's not that impressive. Don't get me wrong, there's been times over in the ring that Kevin Owens could actually wrestle a pretty good match. I still remember his steel cage match that he had with Roman Reigns the final year of 2020 for the Universal title pretty fondly, and it was an alright match, but by God, when it comes to perceivingly telling a story, or at least getting people invested as a manorial draw, even the time when he was world champion, what made you really think of watching Fastlane? Kevin Owens teasing a breakup with Jericho, or Goldberg was coming back to beat this fat jobber because we know anybody realistically, if we leave Kevin Owens alone and we're trying to treat him as this prize fighter, he wouldn't need somebody outside to help him. So you can't even treat him that much of a particular badass unless he's beating mid-carders clean. It's just not ethical. The guy looks like a casual, smart, fat Ring of Honor Hall of Famer that even giving construction criticism like, you don't look like the type of wrestler that we perceive if you want to get better in the business. I don't care if a vocal minority of fans like you. We're trying to at least get the majority of fans, so more casuals. And nobody would think anybody like Kevin Owens could beat John Cena in a multi-month feud. That was the most I ever thought Kevin Owens would be legitimate when he was feuding with Cena. And then he lost the last two pay-per-views because are you crazy? Cena's going to get a guy over. And other than that, it's just sad. At least it was more realistic with the time when they were making Cena lose at No Mercy against Roman Reigns. Lose Roman Reigns was the next big thing. The guy looked like a star, and anybody over the main roster he can beat without any help. And that's what you're supposed to do whenever you're trying to make a top guy. It's upsetting that they should have left that for Mania, and I ranted about that a lot when that was happening, when everybody was burying, oh, Roman Reigns sucks at the promos. You know, Roman Reigns was getting buried, and then he main evented. What, WrestleMania the next year. There's Roman that can trickle over promos like what he did against Cena, or the suckering succotash stuff, or the stuff that people are now on his jaw now, all because he's heel. And let me tell you something, fans. All because you're heel doesn't make you a better character or a better wrestler or that much of a primordial draw. If they're giving you a bit of a gimmick or a character and you're perceived heel, that does wonders. I didn't care about Apollo Crews' babyface. It's not because he was. It was not because he was used wrong. It's because he didn't have a character. He didn't have anything I can get behind. And now he's heel, and he's actually used some ancestral parts of his character to get his ass, some heat. And guess what? Even his home country likes the character. It's not that we don't want him heel or babyface. It's just we want something to get behind over a character. That's what made Apollo Crews finally get won over by more of the fans that were finding him another guy that Vince would get rid of in spring cleaning. But now it feels like it's just Kevin Owens is just a good wrestler. That's about it. It's crap feuds with Sami Zayn. Yeah, they have good matches, but there's no substance to make it feel like an all-time rivalry from it being brung up by Ring of Honor and NXT for them to actually get some emotional setback with it, and all we had was a crap sunset flip spot. Like, and just no semblance of like changing or at least looking like you go to the gym. I get it. Not everybody's gonna have the look of an Adonis, but at least some intimidating figure that looks like you go to the gym, or you look like I can't win in a fight when we're in a secluded area and I can't like have any friends to back me up and you can beat me one on one. Having a presence of at least looking a bit jacked while having a beer belly kind of works. I mean, that also works for Big Boss Man because he looks opposing. Sure, he looks like a mall cop, but at least he looks like a guy that I can't beat up. And he looks like he can't take no shit. Kevin Owens just looks like he always nods with his head down, going, you know, there's something about you. Like, he just talks like a Canadian Triple H with no charisma. Don't get me wrong, Kevin Owens in ring is okay, but it's always the same moves with him too, like frog splash, cannonball senton, no psychology, super kick, Samoan drop, frog splash. Oh, it's a kick out, and now that the pop up powerbomb is not even his finishing move anymore, it's more of his signature. He goes down for the freaking stunner. That it took me like a year to know why the hell is this his finisher. What in God's green earth? That just makes him feel like more of a trash bag wrestler indie mark that just does rip off moves and it still doesn't get him over. And he keeps with the stuns, Kevin stunt. It's just corny to me. Like there's nothing about Kevin Owens that feels like that identifiable other than fat dude that does moves. At least Kamala is supposedly some kind of African Neanderthal. Like, you can make overweight guys have a bit of a presence. So don't get me wrong over that aspect. Kevin Owens just sucks. There's many other guys that can do physically impressive stuff and are more identifiable than Kevin Owens, like Umaga. You see his hard work when he was American Kevin Owens, and when with the U.S. title, and nobody can remember me a match from that moment, or his run with the Universal title when he was getting record low draws for Monday Night Raw. It was just that Kevin Owens isn't that perceivable of a guy that you wouldn't see unless he's holding the Intercontinental Championship. It's just poor to begin with. What could have made Raw a bit more presentable was, especially back in 2016. Hell, give Rollins or Reigns a feud. with the Universal title. That would have been perfectly fine over that aspect. Because at least it's two guys that people know and already are used to as world champion. And then you build over Kevin Owens and the chemistry with Jericho, but you break him away so he can get the Universal title. He all he is just forever mid Carter, and the only way ever be perceived as winning a world title is because the brand split ruling, and it comes from we'll get some of these guys that that have potential to be a main eventer in the company to brand split now just comes to every mid Carter needs the world title because the fans say so. That's technically all I'm saying. If there was no brand split, we wouldn't have Jinder Mahal as world champion. Baron Corbin wouldn't be unnecessarily over top of the card to just get squashed down. Uh, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn wouldn't be perceived to get pay-per-view matches. Dolph Ziggler wouldn't be headlining. Kofi Kingston wouldn't be WWE champion. This stuff wouldn't be happening if the brand split wasn't in major effect. And this is what perceivingly happened because now brand split is a charity case instead of something that's supposedly supposed to flesh out most of the roster. And now people use this as an excuse that the brand split should happen just to get some of these guys that they know that they're not going to watch the show for are going to ever elevate their interest because Kevin Owens can't be interesting enough to be a top of the card guy. All we can see him for is a mid carder. And plus, he just looks like freaking Grimm's Toy Show in the face, but from Canada. Come on, don't put Owen Hart's name in your last name. You think anybody cares about your stuff you did that much over Ring of Honor? How much are really perceived over your company trying to draw El Generico? Only what culture ranks that over anything or Dave Meltzer? Like that didn't perceive you over a badass beating up some skinny guy just doing kicks on you. I can't elevate that other than you'll win the United States or Intercontinental Championship or the tag belts. That's about it. But that's my opinion. Like do whatever you want with that. That's all I'm gonna say. Subscribe for more and yeah. Get ready for WrestleMania Backlash.